Welcome to the Drill Down, in-depth answers to oilfield questions. I'm Richard Spears.
And I'm John Spears.
So, John, we have today the topic, which, well, it's this following question. Is M&A back in oilfield services? And if so, what happens next?
M&A by mergers and acquisitions. So
yeah, just deal flow, because it's been the Sahara Desert for years, right?
Well, yeah, fully 2 years. The pandemic, shut it down, and it's been a while to come back. The deals we've seen have been small ones for the most part, and they haven't been really company purchases. It's been asset acquisition kind of things. So. Yeah, we haven't. The list that we put together has been pretty short. That's for sure.
So the evidence is that I was looking at, because I think the answer, just based upon our view of the industry, which is generally pretty good during a M&A season, is that yes, M&A is back, and it wasn't back at the start of the summer, but it is back now.
So I would characterize, we haven't actually seen that many deals close, right? We've certainly seen. Questions, there's work being done, which would suggest that deals are going to close pretty soon. Yeah. So but we can't measure it in terms of there's now, 10 deals came across.
The list of closed deals is still very, very short. Yeah. The list of announced deals is building. Yep. And in terms of M&A, we're not talking about, 2 drilling rigs that are jackups being sold by company A and being bought by company B. That's jackups are always moving, drilling rigs are always moving back and forth. Yeah. This is companies. Right. And I was just coming up with a list of the evidences, one of which is very near and dear to our heart, because I sit on the board of Veril, and Veril, it's a matter of record. In June, we acquired Sledgehammer in India. And why did we acquire Sledgehammer in India? Sledgehammer is a manufacturer of downhole cementation hardware. So the things just screw on casing.
Gotcha.
So that you can run pipe in the hole and do a proper zonal isolation work there. But so we worked on that acquisition for a year, closed in June, and we did it because China is becoming a harder and harder place to get gear made. Right. India is becoming a better and better place to get gear made. Yeah. And Sledgehammer is a great company.
So I would say that, maybe not a full year, but certainly when a deal is getting done, it's 2 quarters, 3 quarters worth of work easily. So this is a long gestation period that we're talking about. The other thing that comes to mind, we tend to think of merger and acquisition work as being where the buyer is a private equity, right? And that's clearly been a lot of that in years past.
Yeah, if you look at the last 15 years, private equity has dominated the deal space.
Yes, but you do also get oil service or equipment companies buying others, right? So the example you just gave of Veril is obviously an equipment manufacturer already in the space buying yet another one, right? So it's interesting to think if both the buyers being either manufacturer service firms or private equity guys, are both of them sort of ramping up their activities. You have any feel for what that?
Well, just a comparison, and of course, Veril is private equity backed, but you can look on the public side. You have ProFrac, who's doing a yeoman's job about consolidating the hydraulic fracturing space, and heck, everything related to completions at this point. I've heard of another investment that they made just yesterday. But here's ProFrac, who was doing it as a privately owned company. Right. Then they went public, so now this is a public company acquiring other public companies. Right. So they've already acquired FTSI. They've announced, and I expect they'll close on U.S. Well Services. So there's that. The coiled tubing space is consolidating, but the big one from last week is that Taka in the Middle East has announced that they are acquiring AlMansoori.
So Taka is the one I can spell, T-A-Q-A, right? Yeah.
T-A-Q-A.
So go look it up, kids. Trade both publicly traded?
Neither publicly traded, because Taka is owned by some big private and sovereign wealth kinds of backers
in the Middle East.
In the Middle East.
Middle Eastern.
So this is
gotcha.
the Middle East. So this
and
is
AlMansoori
is also
that
the
way.
same.
Yes. Okay.
And so this one's pretty exciting because the Taka AlMansoori combination is putting this company in the same category as NESR, which is fully Middle East and already traded on the in the regional exchanges.
So substantial but Middle East focused oilfield service firms, equipment manufacturers, service firms, right? Yep.
Right. Evidence. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you happen to know who our number 2 client is?
Our Spears Associates.
Spears Associates. Who's our number 2 client? do you remember?
Number 2, just in rank order. Probably Aramco, right?
You bet. So Saudi Aramco
Services. Yeah.
So Saudi Aramco, and when we look at what Saudi Aramco buys from us, it's really not much to do with the Middle East where they are, but rather they're looking at the American model for oilfield services.
Yes, right.
And they've been subscribing to our work for years.
So there's been clear push on the part of several of the Middle Eastern companies to enhance the local content of the drilling and equipment sector. Right? So rather than just rely upon foreign firms, Western firms to come in and do all the work and maybe hire a few folks, now they want to make hand more of that to locally owned and operated equipment and service manufacturers. And that's been a push for a decade at least, I would say. And so we've seen these companies growing, and now they're getting pretty darn big.
And so I look at these things and say, yes, the announcement or the intention was made a decade ago. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we intend to do. 2022 is absolutely the year that it is coming into full fruition.
Yes.
And so what I think about with respect to M&A, it kind of falls in a couple different categories.
Okay. Yeah.
Category 1 are Middle East focused oilfield service companies who continue to build out or buy all of the drilling, completion, and production related services so that they can become a Halliburton-like oilfield service company in that area.
Okay.
And then to do like NESR did, become publicly traded. Well, become like Saudi Aramco, become publicly traded.
Public. Yeah.
And be this be very Middle East focused, which is one of the 2 areas on the planet which has true growth opportunities in the oil and gas industry, right?
From an activity standpoint, and production standpoint and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely right. So an interesting thing. So the question that comes to mind, so you have a couple of different buckets. One's a Middle Eastern M&A bucket, as it were, sort of driven by things specific to that market. But then you have, do we say the rest of the world? Are there a couple different
hard for me to
ways
say
to slice and dice the rest of the world?
I think we still have these sort of 2 big regional buckets, which is in the U.S. land bucket. We're going to say all of North America,
right?
Because this is pretty distinct. It's find another place on the planet that looks like the U.S. and Canadian land market.
It has a distinctive user group in terms of operators, and it has a distinctive competitive environment on the equipment and service side. So
you can put like things together there that have that regional scale. So I think of take the ProFrac example, which is pretty good. You take a company that's fairly large in multiple basins, and in a couple different ways you can execute a frac job, and now you just build on that theme, and you do everything: technology, sand delivery.
You diversify your geophysical footprint as well as your service package footprint.
Well, you said geophysical, geologic, geographic.
Geographic, yeah. So there's still the question of why now? After a long, quiet spell, why now would it be picking up? So the easiest of answers is that, activity is picking up, and both buyer and seller now can put together a forecast of a business plan with forecasted revenues and profits and so forth, with feeling a lot more confident about it. And so the bid-ask spread between the buyer and the seller is a lot narrower than what it was 2 years ago or a year ago or what. So
that's
so that
pretty,
helps, right?
pretty big.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is going to be that we now see who not just the survivors are, but the thrivers. So companies that have have not just gotten through the crap, the terrible 15, 16, 17, skip over 18, 19, 20, 21. These are the companies coming out of that terrible time, and they're profitable.
Yeah.
And they're building cash.
So that tells you who the targets are, right? I think there's still within all that, there's the issue of, until first 6 months of this year anyway, on Wall Street, what was the one sector that was green where everybody else was in the red?
Yeah,
right?
us.
Energy, yeah. So you've got to think that among the folks that have money, investable, dry powder, whatever they want to call it, that they're taking second look might not be the right word, 12th look at the energy business and saying, maybe we can deploy more money into this area. It's offering better returns, the potential for better returns than what we're seeing in other sectors at this point in time. Right?
I think one of the evidences of that is, these big institutional funds, the New York-based and London-based institutional funds, they always had, during the low period when the energy industry was persona non grata, like, don't touch it with a 10-foot or 10-meter pole. They always had, like, the most junior person on the team. Like, you kind of keep an eye out, but don't spend much time on it.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that junior person now has a senior partner attached to the team because they're going to start deploying. They are beginning to deploy.
And this is the sector she knows. And so
exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So there's more horsepower and more love and affection sent to it.
That's the other thing too, and it's very hard to factor in. But so why wasn't it this oil and gas being touched with a 10-meter pole? Is because the rise of ESG standards in investment criteria, right? And so not seen as being allowable. Well, following the invasion of the Ukraine, not only has energy transition, but also energy security has entered as a topic and in that ESG analysis. And so I think some folks maybe coming back to the industry saying, well, we can't move as aggressively away from oil and gas as we perhaps thought we were going to. And so as an industry, it's got a longer, runway ahead of it. So, so our new view of these ESG criteria allows us to deploy a little bit more capital to the sector than what we had been planning on. So that too may be a factor in why now is sort of the curtain going up on this new, off-Broadway play.
Yeah,
off-Broadway.
Off. ESG was like the bully in the room who was just out shouting everybody else to say, no, it's me, no, it's me, no, it's me.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, the security part of it, the energy security part, was quietly in the background going, you can't live without me.
Yeah, and now we know why.
You cannot live without me.
Yeah.
I'm back here. And now it becomes more like the bully in the room.
Yeah, so that could giveth and taketh away, right? And next year, who knows where that discussion, energy transition, energy security is going to go. But the notion I have is that confidence in what the next 4 or 5 years might hold will only grow, and so that would help, bring parties to the table to the extent you've got folks. And the other thing too is willing sellers, right? So we know that there's a lot of companies, private companies, and so forth, who are like, we're looking for an exit, and so they're happy to return the phone calls.
Everything I have except for my e-bike is available for sale. So that's it. Anyway, that's our view of answering the question, is M&A back in the oil field and what happens next?
Right.
We are, this is the third of our episodes in Drill Down 2.0.
2.0, yes.
And you can expect, our customers can expect the Drill Down whatever this is. But do you actually happen to remember how people can get a hold of us?
drilldownshow@gmail.com is how you can reach us by email. Go to our website. There's buttons you can click on to become
the website is what?
SpearsResearch.com.
That's
absolutely.
Right. And
buttons you can click to become a Spears Insider, which means you get flagged via an email that says, "Hey, another podcast is out." Drop everything and go watch it right now.
15 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Anyway, thank you for listening today. I'm Richard Spears.
And I'm John Spears.